on Catalyst, the special report on fatherhood.
These men are about to become fathers. But are they pregnant too? And why are these creatures super dads? This is truly amazing.
G'day, welcome to a special edition of Catalyst. For the last year, Jonica Newby has been following 3 dads-to-be. They've had their hormones tested and their humour as they make the transition to fatherhood. Also, Catalyst has been inviting fathers-to-be to take part in an Australian first survey. Well, here's Jonica with the results, plus a fascinating look into male pregnancy.
Pregnancy. It's all about mum, right? Well, not this time. These 3 men have just discovered they're about to become dads. Mark is excited.
We're having a baby, tra-la-la-la-la.
Possibly a little overexcited.
My wife sees this little jumpsuit and I nearly wet myself with excitement, thinking that's the coolest thing I've ever seen for a baby. What every self-respecting young boy will be wearing this summer? The Kiss jumpsuit.
Murray, meanwhile, is taking it all in his stride.
I think you'll be a great dad.
Doesn't matter if it's a boy or a girl. They're going to like Mr. Potato Head.
It's going to be interesting in maybe some of the messier moments.
I've changed a nappy in my time.
Have you?
Yes.
And you're not too bad with a sick cat if the cat gets sick.
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
So
we'll see.
Then there's Liam. His news was really recent and less expected. He's clearly still coming to grips with the concept.
I look at it as like a new hobby that's coming around. If you're passionate about your hobbies, then I'll be passionate about this as well.
They're all making preparations.
And this is the boat cot.
But what we want to know is, are their bodies making secret preparations too? We've always tended to focus on the mother, but new science is suggesting something mind-blowing, that fathers too are subtly primed by their hormones for parenting. And it looks like it might begin before the child is even born. It's cutting-edge science and all part of a bold new question. Is there such a thing as a male pregnancy?
Welcome and congratulations on your impending fatherhood. I'm Dr. John Eden and I'm the hormone doctor in the team.
Our future dads have all signed on to take part in a pioneering 6-month pilot study.
There's been quite a bit of animal work showing that hormones have quite a strong role in fatherhood. There's very little work that's been done in humans, so we're quite excited about this.
As the men go from footloose and fancy-free to fatherhood, the scientists are keen to track any hormonal changes.
Okay.
But what I'm really keen to see is whether any of them experience anything like this. London is home to expat Frenchman Michel Goulvin. 2 years ago, his doctor wife, Marielle, got pregnant. But it was her husband that got all the attention.
Well, he'd get backache, always complaining about a sore back, and I'd be thinking, oh, what were you lifting? Or, what was he doing? He'd eat his breakfast, and the next thing he'd be running upstairs, and he'd actually be sick. I was thinking, maybe he had a lot of beer last night.
But the most disturbing symptom was yet to come. Remember, Michel is French. He suddenly developed a food craving for English white bread sandwiches.
And here they're all kind of put in plastic, in kind of cheap plastic, so they kind of sweat inside, and it is absolutely disgusting. And I just kind of put it down my face.
Michelle was experiencing sympathetic pregnancy, known as Couvard syndrome. The term couvard comes from the French couver, meaning to brood or to hatch. It was first used to describe a fascinating ritual of some hunter-gatherer tribes.
Basically, men engaged in the behaviours one would expect of women when they were pregnant.
They'd avoid hunting, certain foods, and in some cases, even retreat to bed. In more recent years, Couvard's syndrome came to mean a rare psychological phenomenon in which men got pregnancy symptoms in an unmanly display of sympathy with their partner. But was it really as rare as everyone thought? That's what Dr. Arthur Brennan wondered when he decided to survey a whole lot of Englishmen and uncovered a massive Couvard cover-up.
There was about 25% of men in the experimental group that suffered from the syndrome, which was a lot more than I expected. So stomach cramps were quite common, particularly during the first and third trimester. Toothache, morning sickness, leg cramps. There was a range of psychological symptoms as well. Lethargy, difficulty in sleeping at night.
Well, that's the English. But are Aussie blokes as broody as the Brits? Well, it turns out no one actually knows how many Australian men get Couvard syndrome, so Dr. Arthur Brennan has kindly agreed to help us find out. And what do you think are some of the absolute key things? Arthur has helped us design an online survey.
Or any symptoms to do with...
And thousands of you answered our call to join in. We'll reveal your results later in the program.
Bon.
Meanwhile, Michelle's wife is pregnant again, and his symptoms are back.
Oh yes, I think it is... It makes me feel closer to my wife.
So if so many men experience Couvard's symptoms, how could it be purely psychological? Well, it's possibly not. Because we humans father, we think everyone does, but it's actually very rare. Only 10% of mammals show paternal care. For most mammals, a good dad is one who manages not to kill the kids. And it makes sense. Unlike birds, where both parents can feed the young, mammals have milk. And if fathering is rare in all mammals, it's even rarer in primates. None of our close relatives in the ape family show paternal care. But here, in Madison, Wisconsin, a couple of the more humble primates buck this bad dad trend. Meet the marmosets, super dads of the primate world.
They are adorable.
And the woman who studies them, Dr. Toni Ziegler.
Oh, they're excellent dads. In other species of marmosets, they've even shown the father helping with the birthing process.
Really?
Yes.
Bit of midwifing.
Exactly.
Wow. From the moment the babies are born, Dad carries half the load, if not more. So how come marmoset dads take their responsibilities so seriously when the rest don't?
All right, so what I'm going to do is start up the MP3 player. And can you hear the infant cries? They're very high, shrill cries. Then we'll let the male out of the cage.
You can see how upset he is. But to rescue what he thinks is a baby, he's got to cross what is, for a marmoset, a terrifying bridge. But he summons up his courage. And he's made it. It's a testament to his death-defying dad urge. But the really extraordinary thing Toni Ziegler has discovered is that he wasn't born this way.
They rarely go.
Males who've never had kids are too scared to cross the bridge.
So there's like a switch, a turnover, or a biological priming that occurs when males actually become pregnant or their mates become pregnant for the first time.
And Tony's team has found that switch. At mid-pregnancy, the males start packing on the pounds, eventually gaining a hefty 8% of their body weight. It's triggered by a surge in the hormone prolactin and followed by rising testosterone and estrogen. Then, after the birth, testosterone suddenly drops and there's a massive surge in prolactin. But hang on, prolactin, isn't that a female hormone that promotes lactation?
Prolactin is actually an amazing hormone with over 300 functions in the body. One of its main functions is metabolics. So it's very involved in weight gain and weight loss.
It's also turning out to have a surprise role in fatherhood. When we look at the standout dads of the animal kingdom, penguins, seahorses, many show this prolactin surge. But how do the males know they're, well, pregnant?
I can't tell you exactly, but I'm pretty sure I know what's going on. As the fetus is growing, it starts pumping out very large amounts of cortisol. Well, at the same time that these hormones are being pumped out into the urine of the mothers, the male within a week starts responding with very large increases in cortisol as well. So we think that the pheromones are causing the changes in the male.
Wow. From weight gain to hormone swings, marmoset males clearly have a male form of pregnancy. Which makes you wonder, do we? As our dads head into the final straight, their preparations are clearly surging ahead.
Hey R2, dance program.
Yeah, this is the what will be the baby's room. It's still a little bit of more work to do.
So, are any of them feeling odd?
At work, I'm finding that I'm relaxing a lot more in meetings where I used to want to get my way in the meeting room. I'm sitting back and letting others have their say.
Convincing. But the one who genuinely seems to be being hit by something is Murray.
This is a typical Friday evening for us, honey. Part of me always kind of thought the fatigue, especially for Alex, would happen. But I'm surprised it started affecting me as well. So I can't explain it, I don't know. I also think I'm starting to pack on the weight a little bit more than I had expected.
What do you put that down to?
I'm going to put it down to sympathy and supportiveness.
I put it down to not eating the right foods.
As B-Day looms, reality is starting to hit.
It really makes you step up to the mark and go, okay, what sort of dad am I going to be? I better be a damn good one, because someone's whole life is riding on it.
But what if some of that paternal potential has already been shaped by their genes? Welcome to Atlanta, Georgia, where, believe it or not, scientists claim to have discovered a gene for fatherhood. A single stretch of DNA that can turn a deadbeat dad into a devoted one. Now, you might have the reaction I first did, which is, this can't be true. That's why I had to come all the way here to see for myself. And come with me, because I promise you, this is truly amazing. Meet Dr. Larry Young and his daddy voles. This is Mr. and Mrs. Prairie Vole. See, they're the picture of domestic bliss. Now meet the meadow voles. They can't even stand to be in the same room together, and they make terrible dads.
He probably never even sees his pups.
Classic deadbeat.
Exactly. But contrast that to the prairie vole here. After that moment of their first time together, the male and female formed this lifelong bond. Both are sitting there, licking and grooming their pups, and the male will help sort of build the nest.
Meanwhile, the meadow voles have broken out in war. So why the difference? Larry's team had a hunch about a brain chemical called vasopressin, known for its role in the love centres. But when they looked at the vasopressin receptor gene, it was identical in the good and bad dads. Then they looked more closely at what was in front of the gene. Jackpot.
The only difference that we see is in this so-called junk DNA, which is much shorter in a meadow vole than it is in the prairie vole.
This tiny little stretch of what used to be called junk is the DNA of fathering. It works by telling the gene where to put vasopressin receptors in the teeny vole's brain.
The dark spots are the areas that have high concentrations of the receptors.
The longer the DNA stretch is, the more love receptors in the brain, the greater the urge to be a good dad. Perhaps most incredible of all, the team has proven this DNA doesn't just code for fathering.
This same gene also controls the bonding of the male to the female.
It's not so much a fathering gene they've discovered as a family gene. So might it apply to us?
Well, if you have a particular version of this DNA element, you're more likely to have trouble in your relationship, report a crisis in your marriage. We see that the same genes that are regulating behavior in animals seem to be influencing our own behavior.
So why evolve a gene for fatherhood at all? As we've seen, most mammals don't bother. Dr. Sarah Blaffer-Hardy is one of the world's most influential anthropologists. She says fathering tends to evolve in mammals when child rearing is too big a job for one parent alone. Marmosets, for example, give birth to twins.
So that would be equivalent to somebody my size giving birth to a 30-pound baby. And this is just so much more than she can cope with by herself.
So what was it in our lineage that was so different to our closest ape relatives?
One hypothesis is that around 1.8 million years ago, our ancestors were encountering tremendous climatic changes, and mothers were needing a lot of help. You start to have this shared care where fathers and other group members, older siblings, grandmothers, help to provision children. Well, this meant they could take longer to grow up. So there was an opportunity for natural selection to favor something that's very hard to evolve, which is bigger brains.
So fathering is part of what made us human with our big brains. Yet it's not obligatory, more like a backup system.
I have wondered whether there might not be two morphs of men out there, the very caring ones and the less caring ones. But even among the caring ones, I know that that is shaped by experience. Nurturing men are both born and produced by experience.
And these days, men are being pressured more than ever to step up to the nurturing plate. B-Day is nearly here, and our soon-to-be dads are entering a frenzy of final preparations, including moving house.
7 days to go till the baby's born, and 40 boxes left to unpack.
The novelty of being pregnant's worn off. Just be born.
And now it's time to reveal all. Have their bodies been secretly preparing too? Well, earlier I got you all to fill out our online men's health survey, which was really a test for sympathetic pregnancy, otherwise known as Couvard syndrome. So, Mark, you had a few little niggly symptoms there, but nothing out of the ordinary. Liam, you answered no to every single question, so definitely not. Murray, with a grand total of more than 8 sympathetic pregnancy symptoms, including weight gain, change to eating patterns, change to sleeping patterns, sciatica, and the rest, congratulations, you have Couvard syndrome.
Nice work.
Now let's cross to the UK for the results of our National Fathers Survey. How many of you caught the pregnancy bug? So, Arthur, what have you found? Are our Australian men as broody as the British?
Well, they're perhaps more broody. Around 31% of the national Australian population appear to have the Couvard syndrome. So that's much higher than the UK population. But this is so exciting because this challenges misconceptions about the syndrome not existing in Australia.
Now the million-dollar question, what's been happening to our dad's hormones? We're going to fast forward in time a bit because the study went through until 2 months after the birth.
Well, gentlemen, these are your results, and these are the testosterone levels. Now, keep in mind they are preliminary. There's only 7 subjects in this trial. However, after the birth of the baby, I think you can see there's definitely a trend down. All of these results go down except that one there. So we actually think this is probably a real result. Well, so gentlemen, your testosterone has dropped.
No. So this has come at great cost to us, is what you're telling us.
Well, some would say maybe to improve us, actually.
In fact, that testosterone plunge after birth is remarkably similar to what's seen in marmosets. And while this small pilot didn't show hormonal changes during pregnancy, 2 larger international studies already have.
Their prolactin levels went up, their testosterone levels went down. They were endocrinologically transformed.
It's not every man, and it's not conclusive proof, but it's enough to suspect that humans too can be subtly primed for fatherhood.
These emotions like love, either love for a partner or love for our children, are really built upon the biological mechanisms that evolved millions of years ago. And I think that it is a little naive to think that they are not also regulating many aspects of our behavior.
And now, rewind. Unpredictable emotions are about to start flying. We're going to have a baby.
First thought, this is great, this is it, it's finally here. Split second later, oh my God, I'm so not ready for this.
Just focus on me, mate. Focus on me. You look at me. Forget about them.
He comes out like all babies do with one of those, what the? Looks on their face.
I'm crying, and she's crying, and she's going, it's okay. And I'm like, I know it's okay, but I can't help it.
I'm looking at this little person going, wow, you're the person I'm stuck with for the rest of my life.
There's just one more baby to come.
I'm getting very excited now. That's the baby's heart rate.
But in the days leading up to now, Liam's been strangely quiet. It's only later he reveals he's scared, that he lacks the right emotions, that he won't bond with the baby.
Been going for 48 hours. Tired. Yeah.
And now something's wrong. The doctors inform him the baby has turned. It's an emergency caesarean.
I think that was like a sense of relief. You could given the pain everyone was in and how tired everyone was. So, next thing you're in operating theatre and little baby appears.
Then something happens he'd never anticipated.
It's great. We just got left alone for a couple of hours.
You and the baby. You fall in love.
How could you not?
It's a transformation he'd hardly dared hope for.
We're just waiting for each other.
Really? But there are many more challenges and changes ahead for our new dads.
I can't describe it. I'm in love with our son.
We'll catch up with our proud new dads in the coming weeks and see how they're faring. Now, the full results of that Couvard study are on our website. Well, that's it for this week, but before we go, here's a quick look at what's on Catalyst next week. I'll see you later. Marianne checks the foundations in a quake zone.
Is Japan ready for the next big earthquake?
And this balloon is going to go 40 kilometres into the air. But not this one.